The revolution of the left has stepped up. Just last night, we've seen violence in the streets of Chicago, massive violence, people looting, mostly African American, coming down to clean out shops on major thoroughfares. Same thing in Washington, D.C., actually death in Washington, D.C. And of course, Portland, Oregon continues on. And I had to take note because this morning, although I don't watch the news very much, I get most of it off of the internet. I don't watch the prime time on Fox News. I don't watch it on CNN or MSNBC either. It's all fake news on all sides. In Fox's case, it's promising things that aren't going to happen. With regard to CNN and MSNBC, it's ultra-leftist Bolsheviks trying to overthrow this country and the vision of our founding fathers. But I turned it on and I saw an interview that Mark Levin had done with our so-called Attorney General, Bill Barr, where he's sitting there.
This is Derek's O'Reilly Auto Parts story.
After the third time jump-starting my car, I finally realized my battery was dying. So I stopped by O'Reilly to have it checked. They tested it right there in the parking lot. It was bad, real bad. But they helped me find the right battery for my car and even installed it for free. Now my car starts like new.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Usually, as he does, with his head down, very low key, saying that these people are Bolsheviks. Well, you know what? If they are Bolsheviks, and clearly they are, they're not just Bolsheviks, they're people that, want free stuff. They don't care about robbing and stealing and looting and killing. As the president has described them, they're essentially animals. And I'm talking about all races who are involved. Absolutely. In fact, there are more white people involved, generally speaking, than anything else. Ultra-leftist Bolsheviks. Well, why is he sitting there like a bump on the log doing nothing? And don't kid yourself, he has been doing nothing. And the president has been doing nothing. And that's a shame because I support the president. I want him to be more aggressive. Ronald Reagan would not have tolerated this for 24 hours. He would have been in the streets with nationalizing the police, having them do their job, backing them up, not playing games, not saying, well, we've got agents in these cities. They had agents in these cities. Let's just take Los Angeles as one example. The Federal Center on Wilshire Boulevard. Thousands of federal agents are there. And all they have done in Portland and some of these other cities is barricade themselves in federal buildings to make sure that those buildings were not burned to the ground. They have not been out in the streets arresting people in any great extent, maybe a couple just to say they did it, create the appearance, but that's not enough. As our country burns, as the barbarians are inside the gates, our establishment Republican hacks in Washington, D.C. are playing games with the electorate, hoping that if they don't react too forcefully, that they'll all get reelected in the fall. And that goes for the president, too. I don't think he's a hack, no. But Barr is a hack. And the president made a mistake putting him in there. Probably he thinks it's too late to get him out. But what has he done? He has done nothing. He hasn't indicted Comey, hasn't indicted McCabe, hasn't indicted the Lovebirds, hasn't indicted Orr, hasn't indicted Clapper, hasn't indicted Brennan, and says that the Obamas and the Bidens are off limits. This is the excuse, poor excuse, for our Attorney General, who I call Blowhard Bill, or otherwise put Puxatani Bill, because like the groundhog in Pennsylvania, who usually puts his head into the ground, goes back into his hole each February 2nd, that's what this Attorney General has done, back into the hole. And Mark Levin giving him an opportunity to say something is one thing, but to do something is a wholly another thing. And here's what happened last week, too. My clients, Cliven Bundy and his sons, Ryan Payne, one of the peaceful protesters who they tried to brand as militia. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with militia. It's included in our Second Amendment. As long as you don't hurt anybody, you can have a militia to defend yourself. That's the reason for it. Our client, Cliven Bundy, finally, his appeal was in effect dismissed. Not his appeal, but the appeal of the Trump Justice Department after the indictment had been thrown out by an Obama-appointed judge who had no choice, who had violated all of Cliven's constitutional rights and the others' rights, She came upon lying by the federal prosecutors, suborning perjury of witnesses, whistleblowers coming forward with regard to exculpatory evidence that was hidden, a kill list on the heads of the Bundys. She had no choice. But who appealed that? It was the Sessions Justice Department then. And who allowed it to continue after I wrote him and said, dismiss this appeal? Puxatawny Bill, Blowhard Bill, Bill Barr. This was an outrage, put my client through a lot of additional stress, emotional distress. This had gone back for trial. They faced life imprisonment. But even the Ninth Circuit, the leftist Ninth Circuit, affirmed the dismissal of the indictment. And what has Bill Barr done? He said nothing. He's allowed my clients to be persecuted. One of the worst examples of government tyranny in modern history. These federal agents came in and tried to entrap the Bundys. They threatened their lives. They killed their cattle, buried them in a secret mass grave, assaulted Cliven's sister, Margaret, tased his sons. They were all there getting drunk, celebrating. Liquor bottles were found all over the ground after the successful standoff. And this is our Attorney General. Just an unbelievably poor excuse, not just for an Attorney General, but for a human being. And I got to tell Mark Levin, let's get real with the American people. Don't play the game that Hannity plays. Tell them the truth. And Mark's very smart. He knows better than that. This guy's done nothing. He should be removed from office, and Trump should get himself a real Attorney General. Now, this is where we are right now. Freedom Watch is your Justice Department. You have no other. We have brought lawsuits in Dallas, Texas, over the harm that the communist Chinese have done to our country. We have a criminal case in The Hague against the leadership, so-called leadership in Beijing. We have lawsuits with regard to the police in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, who have been persecuted mostly because they're white male cops by an ultra-leftist district attorney who was elected with the money of George Soros and others. And we are there fighting for you. But wouldn't it be so much better if we actually had a Justice Department, my alma mater, which has become the Department of Injustice, actually doing something rather than spewing forth BS to the American people that in fact they're representing them. And this is where we are today. So turn off cable news. This is the subject of my book. It Takes a Revolution. Read it. No holds barred. I even admit in that book that I've done little to nothing in my career. Hear that? Little to nothing. Because I've just barely scratched the surface. We're now in a revolution. We are now fighting a counter-revolution. We're trying to do it peacefully and legally. And if we don't succeed, it's going to get violent. And I don't advocate that, but that's where it's going. Look at what happened in Chicago last night. See what went on and how the police barely even reacted because they've had their hands tied behind their back. And look at what's happening in Philadelphia, in Portland, in every major city around this country. We're under attack. The major corporations are running for the exits. They don't want to confront it. They're rolling over. They're supporting the leftists, whether it's Major League Baseball, the NBA, you name it. Football, now there's 2 national anthems, one for the black people and one for the rest. Are you kidding me? Okay, we're all equal in this country. And I have black clients and I stand up for them. And in fact, the only people who are courageous in this country anymore are the black conservatives and libertarians. The white people, generally speaking, are running for the exits. They're putting their head down, saying, leave me alone. I'm sorry. Please forgive me for what my ancestors did. Please don't hurt me. Don't take my property. Don't kill me. But they're coming. The left is coming. And you better be prepared. And that's why we have a Second Amendment. It's why we have a Bill of Rights. You don't act offensively, but prepare to defend yourself. And I'm trying to do it in the courts and in a legal way, and we need your support. So go to freedomwatchusa.org. Sign up for our Justice League. Support our citizens' grand juries. We will bring the guilty to the bar of justice. Justice Department will not. And support all of our other efforts that you can see of what we're doing on your behalf. Share this podcast far and wide. Get an advanced copy of my book. I'm not going to make anything probably on this book in the end, but I want you to read it. Read it. Don't worry about Live Free or Die of Sean Hannity. That's just more fluff. Read something about what's actually true and what's happening and how you need to wage a peaceful revolution to preserve the vision of our founding fathers and this great country. God bless you. God bless America. Go to freedomwatchusa.org, join our Justice League and support our causes. You know, we love you because you are the superheroes. The people in Washington, D.C. are not. We'll be back tomorrow with another special edition of our podcast. Until then, thank you for listening to me.
New to Medicare? Start now. Go to myhealthpolicy.com to learn about some of the top-rated Medicare Advantage plans in your area, including plans for $0 a month in plan premiums, low out-of-pocket costs, and expansive provider networks. If you're thinking about a Medicare Advantage plan, myhealthpolicy.com is a great place to go to find a plan that meets your needs. Learn more about your options. Even talk with a licensed insurance agent. myhealthpolicy.com.
This is Derek's O'Reilly Auto Parts story.
After the third time jump-starting my car, I finally realized my battery was dying. So I stopped by O'Reilly to have it checked. They tested it right there in the parking lot. It was bad, real bad. But they helped me find the right battery for my car and even installed it for free. Now my car starts like new.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.